We'll call this meeting to order. Darrell, you want to give the invocation, sir?
Wisdom and guidance to make these decisions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Shelley, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mike Shambaugh,
Here.
Harley Buzzard, Keith Austin, Joe Bird, Julia Coates, Sean Crittenden, Joe Deere, Mike Dobbins, Kanan Duncan, Rex Jordan, Darrell Legg, Wes Snowfire, Dora Petzkowski, Mary Baker Shaw, E.O. Smith, Janice Taylor, Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right, good deal. If everybody's had a chance to look over the minutes, do I have a motion? Motion made, second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Against? All right, passes. All right, let's go right into reports. Human Service Department, Jennifer Kirby. Are you here? Yes, you are.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Jennifer.
I've got Lou here, Lou Stretch with ICW. If you want to carve out some time to ask her any questions that you might have, but you have my report. Is there any other questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer? Wes?
Hey, Jennifer, this past week they had, I think I've emailed you too on it, but I was going to go ahead and ask you, we had a national treasure, pass away, and we had her funeral services, and her granddaughter was a friend of mine, and so I kind of went along with her through the burial assistance through National Treasure and seen also from what probably be some problems along with the funeral homes too on the dollar amount. A lot of these funeral homes are working with our burial assistance for our citizens who are don't have the funds to help out, so it's a dollar amount, a fixed dollar amount. But moving forward on the national treasures, possibly looking at what we could do to create a standardized amount that we'd be willing to cover the cost of if they don't qualify for that amount. I know we said that they would qualify for that lower burial assistant program, but maybe looking at raising that just a little bit. And I know that we've buried some national treasures in the past. I don't know what the costs would have been on those, but maybe look into it and bring a dollar amount back that might be kind of where the funeral homes are happy and comfortable with burying someone outside of those funds, and then what we could look at kind of kicking in as a council to try to raise that up. So that would be a big help.
Right. Yes, definitely. And we have the act that we pulled and looked at that and are reviewing that, and yes, we can definitely look at what that standard amount is going to be.
Perfect. All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Yep. Kanan?
I just wanted to, this is my last meeting here with you, and I just wanted to say thank you because, as we've talked about lots of times here, one of the main services that we go to every day is I probably send you 25 emails every day, and you probably hate my guts for it. But you have always been nothing but helpful, and I truly appreciate it. You've made it a lot better being on council trying to get folks help. So thank you.
Yeah.
And your staff.
Yeah, thank you. It's been my pleasure to work with you and everyone else that won't be here next month. I appreciate it, but we could not do it without all the staff, the dedicated staff that we have. So all the thanks goes to them.
Mary?
I want to second what Kanan said, and thank you for all your help and service, and that shows such leadership on you to always acknowledge your staff instead of taking the accolades yourself, and I think you're a great leader.
Thank you.
I do have some questions for Lou Stretch. Will she be next?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Wada.
Okay. Julia?
Hi, I just have a quick question related to what we were emailing about earlier.
Yes.
Was there a confirmation number with the Elder Award in the way that there was with this recent COVID Assistance Award?
Yes, if you did an online application, For the $400 elder assistance, there was an email, I believe, that confirmed that the application was submitted and should have went back to your email. Now, if you want to kind of touch base back with me, and if they didn't receive that, then we can go from there.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Leo?
I just want to say, I appreciate y'all's commitment, because I can tell y'all not going through the motions, that some of the things you've done to help here lately is because y'all care, and I really appreciate it, because it's really helped those people out that we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think y'all doing a great job, and I just wanted to really thank you.
Yeah. I also wanted to let you know there are the blankets. I know those are a popular thing. I know walking outside, and you don't want to think about blankets right now, but the lie heat blankets are always popular every year. And I'm sure you'll probably be getting some calls, people asking, hey, what's going on? So COVID did delay our 2020 distribution. We've tried to get those out in the short amount of window where some of the restrictions were lifted for a short time, but we're still trying to safely get those out. The 2021 are on order, so we'll get those out hopefully in the next couple of months. So then that'll catch us back up for 2022. So just in case someone asks you, hey, I never got my blanket, we are still trying to get the 2020 distributed, but people have been coming and picking those up.
Anybody else? Harley?
Yes, Jennifer, when is the school voucher program going to kick off? I know I've had several people call me this weekend because they've missed a tax-free weekend on it. So when are they going to be able to get their vouchers?
So no payments will be made until after the deadline. So the deadline is August the 20th. I think that's probably just kind of an administrative thing, trying not to have them coming in and then distributing them like that. No payments are going to be made until August 20th.
And are those payments going to be on a card, or how are they going to get them?
My understanding is it's going to be just very much like all the payments that are going out right now, where they have the Chase.
Okay.
Just because the large number of payments that will be going out, it will be through the Chase email. And then if they reject that or they don't accept that within the time frame, then it will be sent out in a check.
Are these payments late this year? Because people have griped to me about not getting the tax-free weekend.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, we were trying to be more efficient about getting these out and things, and it just kind of put us behind a little bit, but we're using the Gadoogie portal. And so in order, and to use that and get in line for that, we are a little delayed this year.
Okay. Well, I don't know how much the tax-free would help, but some of these taxes in some cities are, 9-10%, so
Yeah.
they did lose some money on the thing. But anyway, that's the question I need answered. And I just want to tell you, Jennifer, since you come into the interim director of this program, I feel like we've made a lot of accomplishments that you have, and I just want to thank you for it. Thank you for your service there.
Yeah, thank you.
Keith?
Yes, Jennifer, you spoke of blankets. I do not recall, and refresh me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall the council getting a selection of the 2020 blankets. Was there a 2020 blanket?
There was, and I'll bring some down here so you can see, and it might, but yes, it did. The 2020 blanket did come after we got back in the office after COVID. They were kind of straggling in, but yeah, there was a 2020, and it was the theme of the holiday the previous year.
Okay. I don't recall receiving a supply like we have in other years where we've been able to share those with the community.
Yeah.
And obviously, if they are available, I would very much like to be able to have a supply of those to share with the community.
Okay.
Like we've done in years past.
I'll get with Gail,
Okay.
and kind of see where we're at on that.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Dobbins?
Jennifer, this may not be a question for you and your department, but I know we help parents that have developmentally disabled children with perhaps daycare assistance and other financial assistance. What about those parents that their children have kind of aged out? They're in their 20s, let's say, and they still have these developmental problems. Do we as a Cherokee Nation have any help for them, any assistance? Are we equipped to do anything to help them? And if not, if you don't know offhand, do you know where you could kind of direct me to?
Let me do some research on that, because I know within our department, we don't necessarily have any resources. Most of ours are, like that would be elder. But let me do some asking to some of our more seasoned advocates and management and see where to direct you, because I don't want to send you on a wild goose chase, and let me do a little bit of checking.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Chair.
Anybody else? All right, Jennifer, do you know how many, the $2,000, or there's chief of staff, maybe he knows, how many have applied for that 2,000 total thus far?
He can give you the best update
Yep.
on that.
Approximately 276,000.
Wow.
We have about 257,000 registered portal users with a valid email account, and then parents that are pinned their children to their application brings that total up to about 276, if I remember correctly. I just looked at it just a moment ago.
Thank you, sir. That's good. So the portal has really helped you guys out. I mean, probably more than words, right?
Oh, very much so. And there's a lot of other things that we are working on now, as Secretary Harsha alluded to, the draw for the hunt. We're looking at using that system, and a variety of other services that we're already on works and development on. And we're also trying to find ways to engage our citizens, asking them questions, providing a tool for them to give us feedback on how things are going. And so those will be the things that we'll be working on the portal in the coming weeks and months.
I think that's something that's been very important and that you guys have done. You know, you learn from your mistakes and you get better, and you guys have got better and better every time. So I commend you on that. That's quite a feat. That's a lot of people and more to go. So just thank you. Thank you, sir.
So just real quick, if I might, I just got a feedback. We're almost at 26,000 applications for clothing assistance right now. So we have about 10 more days before that application period closes. And so we've got about 26,000. It's about half of what I expected at this point. So I figure we should be around 50,000 total applicants.
Well, maybe they're waiting until the last day.
Maybe so.
Well, and I will say too that Human Services staff, and there's probably not a person within Cherokee Nation that has not received a call inquiring about a 2,000 or the clothing voucher, but our staff in Human Services have been answering calls to assist with getting people those applications that cannot, do not have access to a computer, do not have family members that can do that for them, or just have trouble accessing it. We've also been doing that as much as we can. So many of you have reached out for that in that capacity. So please continue. If you still have some that are still needing assistance, just send them our way.
I think one problem was too that, you know, if they weren't registered by, it was like 16th or something, they could not qualify. So right off the bat, you know, people who had put in and hadn't got theirs back yet couldn't get it. So I've had several calls about that, but next year hopefully we'll be better and bigger, and it's a good system. We just little growing pains, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
When was that clothing deadline?
August 20th.
August 20th. That'll give us time to.
And yeah.
Nationwide, right? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Julia?
Thank you. This is reminding me, okay, so last year, the clothing assistance got tacked on to the technical assistance that was available to the at-large. It's offered this year to the at-large as well, the clothing. Is there an anticipation that that will continue to be the case in future years, that the at-large citizens will be included in this?
That
may not be a question for you.
As for human services, I don't know. I cannot predict that.
That's one of the things we'll have to evaluate as we spend some of the federal dollars that we have through this unique situation with ARPA and the CARES Act funding. And so we'll have to evaluate that and see where our spend is, and there may be an opportunity for us to extend this next year, or maybe even for a fall program if our spend is lower than what we anticipated.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that perhaps if you're not getting quite the number of applications that you anticipated, that it might be possible to continue going forward with it.
Yeah.
That was just my thought. Thank you.
Okay, you want to yield your time?
Yes, absolutely. If any questions for Lou? Are you sure?
You got it.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Indian Child Welfare?
Mary?
Hi, Lou. I'm
Hi.
glad you're here at this meeting. As a matter of fact, I think you should be included at every meeting because I think nothing's more important than our children. I really do.
Thank you.
My question to you today is, I probably have a couple, but 3 children were removed from tribal land due to confirmed abuse or neglect. Why were they removed from tribal land?
Were they removed by the state or the tribe?
Well, it just says that 3 children were removed from tribal land due to confirmed abuse/neglect. I was wondering why they were removed from tribal land.
Any family that continues to reside on tribal or trust land, it might be through form of restriction that still stays in place, then Indian Child Welfare has that investigative capacity, and we're the ones that actually do those investigations. We place the children in tribal custody, and they go to tribal court.
Okay, then I looked down here, and this broke my heart. Report of child death. We had one.
Yes,
Is there something we could have done to save that child?
I don't think so. Hindsight is 20/20, and we have very thoroughly gone back after the fact and really conducted an investigation. And so I'm sure that's going to continue to be ongoing, but it was a different kind of situation.
Then I see that we have 3 that were near death.
I don't know that I can identify that by that.
You know, I think it's got to be a very, very difficult job for people to deal with these kind of situations. And I was horrified that we had 747 with neglect. And then you sit here and you look at the sexual abuse. How could anyone sexually abuse? And it just hurts me even more if they're Cherokee. And I applaud your department. So, I really do, because it can't be an easy job. But I think one child is one too many.
Well, and you're going to have to remember with those numbers that the Federal Indian Child Welfare Act covers the entire nation. And so those numbers are a congregate of across the entire nation. And sad to say, tribal children are actually continue to be overrepresented in state systems. It's something that is one of the reasons that we get involved in those cases. And if we find that there is a cultural bias that is involved in there, we try to, level that playing ground and have it addressed by the court to ensure that our families aren't unduly given restrictions to get their kids back.
So I want to be clear, I understood that, what you just said right. Some of these are not located just in the Cherokee Reservation.
They are not.
They're not. They're all over the United States.
They're all over the United States.
You know, it might, not that it would be more helpful, but maybe it would be more informative if those were broken down. For example, the report of child death / Oklahoma. That one happened probably inside the jurisdiction.
It did.
Well, again, I think one's way too many, and anything that I'm sure council could do to help your area of expertise, I'm sure they would want to do. So keep that in mind. I may not be here, and God knows I applaud the work you do, and I appreciate all you have done. But, this is really important stuff. These are our kids.
Right, and that includes investigations that are 14 County, we have a contract, we continue to have a contract with the state of Oklahoma where that they do the investigations that are not on tribal and trust land. And it's really beneficial to the tribe that that stays in place as we continue to move forward and grow. One of our biggest pieces that we're going to have to overcome is a shortage of staff. And we've got several plans in place to try to improve that. But I think it's in all sectors of the United States right now that there's just not a lot of people out there seeking work. And until that we can grow our capacity to assume more and more of those cases, or at least do conjoint investigations with the state, those numbers are also reflected there.
You know, budget hearings are coming up. I can't help but think, council, if that would assist you to increase your budget, perhaps to help you entice more people to come and help in this particular area, I can't help but think council would want to work with you.
Well,
And-
I appreciate that, and I feel like administration is also. We've got some requests already in place that I feel like are being looked at favorably. Our pay truly has not reached the same level as the state and some of the surrounding even tribes, but we have the ability at this time to highly consider correcting some of that. And what's I guess sad to me is even if that can be helped, our staff is so overworked because of that lack of staff. It's not truly just their pay that is difficult. It's the level of cases they have and the number of cases they have. And it's just a process, and I think we all have to admit that. It's very difficult to not only get skilled staff in that area, it's very difficult to get any staff in any department. I think every department is probably feeling that same staff shortage.
You know, I had no idea, and I'm sure council had no idea, that our pay was not equal to what the state is paying.
It was actually better until they did something they called a Pinnacle Plan, and they had a lot of national advocacy done. It was actually a lawsuit that was filed by a child advocacy group, and it took them about 2 or 3 years to be able to correct that. And when they did, I think it even had to go to the legislature, but they were able to bring up the pay for the state quite considerably. And at that point, it was not really possible for us to match step because it just happened in one big immediate change for them. And
Well,
so,
and I think the state would also say too that they're at a staff shortage as well.
they're at a
So, I
staff
mean,
shortage also, yeah.
It's just probably lack of social workers too, within the country, as well as other type of positions like that, so.
Well,
it's-
Jennifer, surely you would agree with me if you were a social worker and you had a choice between working in Tahlequah, Oklahoma for the state or Cherokee Nation, who doesn't pay you as much, you would take the other job.
Some people do and some people don't.
Yeah,
Well, I would
Well,
highly
very
encourage council to take this up in budget hearings. I mean, they're coming, and this is something we need to do because this is too important an area not to budget it correctly. Listen, thank you so much. I appreciate
thank
all
you.
the information, and hopefully this meeting today will help.
Appreciate
Wado.
it, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Theo?
Just a ballpark figure, how many hours do you have in an average investigation? 10 hours?
Boy, average is a kind of a relative term because some things are very, very serious and some things are kind of like all the evidence is right there, but you still have to get all of your information corrected for your court. Because everything you do, that judge needs to know everything that was done. And so I would say probably 4 or 5 days. And it could be as much as 2 weeks. It just depends on how complicated the issues are. And then a lot of the times when you're doing the investigation, additional allegations come forward. It can get pretty complex.
Wes?
Hey, Lou, what do we have as far as working relationship with our human services whenever it comes to reports of neglect? And what I've seen a lot also, just with my dad being in mental health, dealing with kids, is a lot of the the parents seem to just not have the ability to parent. It's not really that they're bad parents, it's just they don't have a job. They don't have a job because they don't have a car, so they can't get to work. And I know that you guys do that and help out and get with Jennifer to try to develop that. Is that also an area of where we have lack of jobs with those social workers that's developing the inner workings between ICW and Human Services?
I'm sure Human Services probably would benefit by additional staff also. I know that and that's just simply because the employee shortage is pretty much
Yeah.
universal. But I
Well-
think we have a good working relationship. They usually assist us if we have a request.
Yeah, and our specific, it's really just boils down to what our specific areas of our programs are, usually housing, utility assistance,
Right.
deposits, things of that nature, but yeah, vehicles, and trying to free up funds where they can maybe put it towards a vehicle
Right.
payment or a vehicle repair. That's kind of what we try to focus on is, we can't help you with the vehicle payment, but we can help you with maybe a utility bill or something along those lines. Or get you signed up on something like LIHEAP, that would be more of assistance to you.
Is
if you're
there,
low
is
income.
there a way that we could develop a payment assistant program for someone who's under income to where we could make a payment for a vehicle? Because I know, vehicles aren't necessarily deemed necessary like lights or water, running water in your house,
One of the
but,
problems with some of our federal funding, Wes, is that it's a piece called equity, and we
Right.
cannot pay money into improving someone's equity. And so if they're buying a house or they're buying a car, it makes it very difficult to assist them with those payments because it adds to their equity. If they're renting, sometimes we can find assistance for them easier than if they're actually buying. But that comes down to how those federal dollar guidelines happen. And so, and we also have to have some caution that we actually really try to put some things in place initially to stabilize our families, because when we first have interaction with them, they usually have a difficulty doing services because they can't even get stable.
Right.
And so as we continue to work with a family, we are careful not to continue that same level of assistance because it becomes enabling. And then when those children go back, they fail because they haven't learned to stand on their own 2 feet.
right.
So it's a progressive piece.
Okay, and then, of course, Counselor Shaw brought up a good point as far as pay. And I know we just had Dr. Jones here, and he was talking about lack of shortage and maybe pay. Since we're coming up on budget hearing, I mean, what else are maybe you guys get, besides pay, what else is probably the hardest part of getting people employed? Is it just because the environment that they're working in is really
I don't think it's necessary
tough?
to pay. I think it's more of a shortage of employees to go around.
Okay,
And so some of the work we do is a little higher level, and you've got some qualifications to meet there. And then we have some other jobs that are more entry level. And
Right.
so we do find those entry level ones a little easier to fill, but it's still a high rate of competition out there to get people in.
Right.
And so, and we're making some progress with it, and I know that the HR has looked at this provisional employment that I think is going to help us a lot. We've really got high hopes for that. And because we can actually put them into a training mode during that time
Right.
period where they're not working independently at all, but we also ensure that person remains interested in this position when it's time for the full-time job offer, because so often they've taken another job or something as they
right.
continue to interview while the process goes on. So I don't know the success or what's going to answer the question to fill that staff, but we're definitely leaving all doors open.
Okay, what about, and I may ask Diane Kelly this, as far as what kind of work we could do with getting in our colleges and going and recruiting students that are, third year, 4-year, almost getting ready to graduate college, and trying to work them into saying, hey, look at us, we're the bright light of taking care of kids, making us a really attractive place to work. Whatever, I mean, I guess the thing is, you're here, we're as a council, whatever we need to do to kind of help your services out to get more employees, I'm all ear. I'm just brainstorming, same thing I was with Dr. Jones. How could we help you guys get as much attention for hiring. I mean, obviously, that's a big priority, is to make sure we have enough
Well,
staff.
of course,
and-
McGirt has also somewhat put a focus on the tribe providing certain services for families. And so I know that alone has really made families want to transfer to tribal court. And we just have to be cautious. Our growth is not so rapid that it comes back on us. We're not taking proper care of kids, you know.
Right.
We've got to have that balance. But we can continue, as we continue to grow, I believe we will continue to be able to accept more of those cases that come in. It's going to be a better option for families.
Okay, all right, appreciate it, Sheriff.
Sean?
Lou, real quick, just the last, few months or so, been situations come up, you've kind of walked me through some of the questions with the family and, you know, the courts, the kids, the judges, a lot of the ICW stuff is way above me. But all I expect and what you have done is take my calls and kind of walk me through, make me understand and answer what you could. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because all of the situations that you deal with are dire. And when I get the call, it's dire. So you've helped me a whole lot do that. So I appreciate your accessibility.
Well, thank you. And I always believe that the more understanding a person has of how that system works, the better they're able to help somebody. And we hope you can give them all the help you can.
Anybody else? Well, I'd just like to say, from my standpoint, is that your job is difficult. I've worked with both of you, Indian Child Welfare a lot, DHS a ton, but, you know, when you start getting into cases and individual cases about, is this child old enough to tell you what happened? Is it too young? Is this going to be an evidence-based case? A medical type case, is this going to be a combination of that and an interview process, then an interview as a suspect, then you get into forensic interviews, and where you do those interviews with those kids so you don't traumatize them, and how many times you can interview those kids so you don't traumatize them, and keep bringing that back over and over. There's a lot that goes into this, and it does take a special person to do that over and over and over, to see bad things that happen to kids and not kind of get, you know, burnt out from it, because you well know as well as I do, if you have a few doing a lot, that especially in this type of work, burnout is bad. Because it's just difficult.
And you're absolutely right about the interview process. We don't want kids more traumatized than there are, but sometimes that trauma also is so great that a child cannot disclose. And it's better not to try to bring that out. If they do, they might follow your lead and say something that's not correct, or it may more traumatize them. So a lot of times in investigations, it's difficult. You may believe something has happened, but until that child's ready, you have to ensure that you give them the correct time. And so that's hard on adults' patients, that they think maybe you're not doing all you can. But it's I really admire our interviewers that work with those really young children, and they've got a set of skills that's very, very valuable.
Sean? Oh, you good? Okay. Well, if there's nobody else, we're going to move on. And ladies, thank you for coming. It was good having you today. Yeah, it's just it's a tough job.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes, Miss Ma'am. Michael Lynn, come on down.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I know we've got several council members either terming out or going off the council, and I just want to wish everyone well. I've worked with each of you for many number of years, and I want to tell you how much I appreciate each of you, and tell you how much I appreciate. It was an honor to be able to work with you over the years, and I just want to thank you for your service to the council and our citizens and our nations. Thank you so much for that. We've got a lot of odds and ends going in the department, but I just wanted to cover just a few things. On the Office of Environmental Health and Engineering side, we received word from IHS this week where we were going to be receiving an additional $2 million in ARPA funds from IHS that we put towards our scattered housing program. for new and like-new homes. We've also been going through our evaluation criteria as well as our policy and procedures to update those for the new Man Killer Soap Water Act that will be taking effect this coming fiscal year. So we've been going through those and updating those. On the transportation side, just a couple things. We've got a final inspection scheduled for the Northeast Fort Gibson Phase 1 project, the 11th of this week. We've got 2 projects now that are going to be, if they're not out to bid, if they're not ever advertised for bids now, they will be soon. I don't have the exact date on those, but one of them is Northeast Fort Gibson Phase 2. It's the second phase of that project I just mentioned, as well as the Rocky Mountain School Loop Bridge in Adair County. Rocky Mountain School Loop was a road that we built just a few years back, but there were some right-of-way issues on a bridge that needed to be replaced. It's in pretty unsafe condition. We got those right-of-way issues resolved just here recently, and so whether we do have that, now that that's resolved, we're able to move forward on the construction, so we could be getting that out to bid. Lastly, I want to mention just today, our draft compact and funding agreement was transmitted to the U.S. Department of Transportation. They'll make their review and comments, provide those back to us, and then we'll begin the negotiation process at that point. There is a team of us here at Cherokee Nation that are made up of the negotiation team, and we're looking forward to starting that process. And we do still, as we had previously reported, we do still feel like that we will be able to negotiate an agreement and have it in place by October 1st of our new fiscal year. That's our goal, and we still feel like that's achievable. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have one quick question. I read somewhere or heard that the White House made an announcement that there was infrastructure monies available for wastewater for tribal lands. Have you heard about that yet?
If it's in the infrastructure bill, I don't know that that's been approved yet or signed off on by the president. But I do know there's a significant amount of money in there just for infrastructure. I don't know how much for water or wastewater, but there is a significant amount in there for infrastructure in general.
Yeah. I believe that was also included in it. I believe I read it. I just want to know if you knew anything about that. When it comes available, I'm sure you'll know more.
Certainly. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? Harley?
Thank you and your Water and Sanitation Director, Billy Hicks, for putting the total amount of dollars on these projects. And I just want to tell the committee members here, the programs that Michael Lynn operates or is the director over now, those 2 programs, the water and sewer and the roads program, benefit a lot of Cherokees. Not only Cherokees, but everybody in public. Everybody drives over these roads that these people construct. Everybody uses the water line that those people put in. So these things are really community-type projects, Michael. So I think you've done a great job, and just want to congratulate you on your promotion to director, and I think you're going to make this program go even farther.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I had awful big shoes to fill when Councilor Buzzard vacated that position, but I really appreciate that, Councilor.
Doc?
Michael, on monthly, we get the water and septic report of individuals. Do we just provide that service for Cherokees or other natives?
Are you talking about the list that's in the
I'm
monthly
looking
report
at
there?
Page 29. We get that monthly report.
Those are going to be, I believe, any Native American on these. Is it titled FY21 Water and Septic Report?
Yes.
I believe that's going to be any Native American. Those are IHS funds and.
Okay, so my district borders Muskogee, but most Muskogee citizens live in Creek. So can a Cherokee in Muskogee, city of Muskogee, expect Creek assistance?
I can't answer for the Creek
Should
Nation. They, in theory, they should, but I can't, obviously can't answer for them. But they should, if they receive the IHS funds, which I'm quite sure they do, they should be able to receive services through Creek Nation, yes.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chair.
Joe?
Hey, Mike, I had asked about this before. On here, it has like pending construction start dates, in progress. Is there a way to put possible closing dates or estimated closing dates on any of these? Because it says pending start date, that could be when?
That's really tough to do because of so many variables. For instance, we had wanted to build this bridge, as I mentioned this on the Rocky Mountain School Loop. We'd wanted to build that bridge when we built the project. There was an issue with the title on a piece of property right there at the bridge on an easement that we needed. There was some folks that were deceased. There were some folks that were incarcerated. That all of this had to be worked out. It was a mess, to say the least. So those type of issues, environmental issues, you know the environmental issues that we can incur, Counselor. It's just tough. But I'll tell you this, as it gets closer to going to construction, we can try to update those dates instead of just saying pending. We can kind of give you an estimated month or maybe even a season, for instance, maybe fall of 2022 or something or other. We can try to update it with that, but it's really tough to nail it down until we're ready to roll. It's really tough to nail it down to a specific month.
Yeah, because I know recently there's like a lot of no new construction, like Roto-Rooter and them have totally denied doing any new construction because of the shortage of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're running into steel problems with the bids, so there's a lot of issues.
Yes.
Prices are only good for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So it's hard to bid stuff. That's why I was wondering how we're going to do that with these contracts. If we've already got a price, example would be the tag agency. It comes in way higher, and we can negotiate. But how are we going to do stuff like that when we've awarded them?
Well, I mean, they're a fixed price contract typically, at least on ours, or our road construction contracts are fixed price. When they submit that price, they've got to honor that bid for the duration of the project. Now, there are some caveats in the specifications that allow for price adjustments, but those just have to be handled on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, because we just got to notice that concrete's going up too. So that's going to be interesting.
Yes.
So that's why I didn't know how you were going to deal with that. But that answers a lot of my questions. It's going to be the same as the market. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Speaker?
Okay. Yes. Hey, Michael, I just want to commend you and your staff for working with the county commissioners. The road to, I don't know, what's that road called behind Danny's Muffler?
Bliss, I believe, Bliss Avenue.
That is really coming along well, and that goes to that church there at Elm Tree, and they are so happy because in years past, they've just Band-Aid approached that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just so excited. They talk about it every Sunday.
Great.
So I want to just thank you and your staff for expediting that project.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. I appreciate those kind
Okay,
words.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? All right, Michael, any comments, public comments on road issues for Michael? All right, thank you, sir.
No,
Good
thank you.
job.
Thank you, everyone.
Jerry Killer, Housing Services.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Jerry.
Believe you all have my report. If anyone has any questions, I will take those.
If you have any questions for Jerry? Victoria, ladies first.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi.
If I have an elder that would be interested in applying for an application to have a tiny home built, do we have different application processes for that, or is it just under all housing new construction?
That's under housing rehab. So
Okay.
the smaller homes were offered as replacement homes through the housing rehab department. And you can't apply for a replacement home, you apply for housing rehab. And then if the amount of rehab exceeds a certain dollar amount, then you go to a replacement home.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kanan.
Hey, Jerry, I just wanted to express my appreciation to you guys, too, you and your staff. Of course, if Gary was here, I'd tell him the same thing because I worked with him, too. But whenever you came in, you just hit it in stride, and you're another one that I send multiple emails to every day, and you probably get tired of it. And I appreciate you very much and your staff. You guys are just simply making lives better in Cherokee Nation. So I thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for that. And, you know, like Jennifer said, a lot of the things goes to the staff of the Housing Authority because they work hard and they do great work every day.
Harley?
Yeah, Jerry, could I meet with you after the meeting just for a minute?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Jerry, how's the after-hours deal working out?
It's still trucking along. It's not very busy, but we do get, you know, a few calls a week on it.
Well, the few times I've called, they've got it done the same day. It's really been, they're quick.
They are quick, yes. I mean,
Especially
they'll
AC calls seem to be high.
hourly.
Yeah, hourly. you're
Hourly.
right.
It's not even daily. Those are hourly.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, Jerry, good report.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. All right, Anna Knight. And she is here. Anna's always here. Hey, Anna.
You have a copy of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Anna? Whoa, Anna, that's
Very nice,
that's
yeah.
pretty good.
That's not.
Julia messed it up. All right, Julia, here we go.
Not a question, but just wondering if I could talk with you for a moment afterwards.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna, good report. Thank you. Okay, old business none. New business, Canaan?
Yes, Chair, I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add a new business item that has been handed out to you guys.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? All right. And does that need to go to full council tonight? All right. Right. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
So this is a resolution authorizing application to the Department of Commerce Tribal Broadband Connectivity Grant Program, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. All right, and if we have any questions about this, or you just want to go ahead and give us a presentation, Sean?
Be added as a sponsor like
Okay.
everyone else, but this is getting the old internet out to everybody who needs it, right? All right, good deal. Thank you.
Good deal. And this was a little time sensitive on why it needed to be done today, so we thank you, gentlemen, for bringing it to our attention so we could get it on the agenda. So do we have any questions? Are we good? All right, we're good. You got off easy. All right. Yeah, I know it. All right, no more new business. Any announcements? No announcements. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 13th at 4. And before we go, it has been an honor serving with you councilmen who are getting off. You know, a lot of us came on, or some of us came on at the same time, and it has been an honor. And just remember that you're still there for the fight in the end, because you know, whether you know it or not, our new AG has called upon the Supreme Court to relook McGirt, and they're going to try. He wants to get McGirt overturned because, you know, at 154 he's saying that this thing is a disaster, and he's just spreading all kinds of propaganda trying to get them to overturn McGirt. And we do have a few members, so the fight's not over, even though you're not on the council, so your voice can still be heard in the communities. But one other thing real quick, I should have done this a long time ago, but if y'all are going to come to the send-away for you guys, I always used to get a baseball signed by the team, and I'm going to bring a baseball that I hit a home run with, and I'm going to have you all sign it. It was in Little League, that's the last time I hit one, but I'd like y'all sign it. I'm going to put it on my desk, so.
Wiffle ball.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I need one more motion. All right, we're adjourned.